Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Faith in Home Buying, where I'm equipping people of faith with the home buying process. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about stats. We haven't spoken stats in a while, and I have a bunch of them. There's a lot going on in the markets, and there's a lot going on with just updates. I also do want to talk a little bit about probably more my second half about what's been going on. And most people talking about foreclosures, thinking that second foreclosure crisis isn't likely. But we're going to talk about that in my next segment or the next episode. And we'll dive into that and why I think that it's not really going to be what people think, based off of what I see, based off of experience, and just based off of what the experts are saying in the industry, right? That's always a fun thing. But let's start with some wins. I have some closings that have taken place, and man, they've taken forever. So look, don't fret. If you are a new construction buyer, don't fret, because you're not the only one that's probably had a delay. My clients, I have one set of clients that their delay was at least about 2 months of a delay, and it really, really sucked. But today, we've just gotten word that funding will be taking place, and I'll be able to hand them over keys tomorrow. So this was a long time coming, and I'm super excited for them. Their story was one where, when they didn't think that Hollister would be a place that they would actually be living. But then there were several people before them that had gotten to Hollister, had gotten into homes, and they saw land, and the price point was just right for new construction. There wasn't a whole waiting list, and they were able to get in just in time. They gained some great equity inside of the home, and are feeling really, really good about, even though it was a delay, that they have some great equity growth already, even going into the property. And so what does that mean? That means that the home prices, from the time that they've gotten in contract to the time the project actually finished, it increased in value. And we're talking not like small increases, we're talking a substantial amount. So kudos to them. I'm really happy. I get a Red Bow Magic situation to do tomorrow. That's for one of my buyers. And so hopefully that can encourage someone. Just hang in there. The homes will close. And I know we're having a lot of problems with, just appliances, things being delivered overseas. And, we're having a lot of problems with our ports, and it's kind of like one thing compounded on the other. So just know that you're not alone, and also too, if you're in the building trades and you're doing anything with building, you probably noticed that it's taking forever to get material going, or the contractors are taking forever to get things going. That does have to do with our ports and what's happening over there. So just know you are not alone. It really isn't the person. It's just what's going on in the economy right now. And, and even the trade industry. I mean, when you're at a low of microchips for a lot of the things that are needed, even in cars, that it's something really big going on. And I don't think we're going to climb ourselves up out of it anytime soon. So rest assured, prayer really helps with a whole lot of things, but I think we're going to need a whole lot of prayer in these next coming weeks, especially if we had timelines to hit, or especially if we're trying to do new work on our homes, or get into new homes, or just to even remodel. It's going to take some time, or just even buying a new car is going to take a little bit of effort. Things that are actually on the market right now, and like your stock, stuff, but things that need like really small specification or specific parts, they've been delayed. So yeah, it's going to affect us all, but hopefully we all can work together and just be as patient as we possibly can, because again, we're going to all need it after we get through with this part of, just this part of not really the pandemic. And it's not really because of COVID. I think it's mostly due to just the problems that we're having in getting all of our supplies in. I mean, it's even affecting us down to the food. So this is not what I'm planning on talking about anyway, but yes, just keep everything in prayer, stay prayerful, but also stay hopeful, and give patience in this time, because we're going to need it. All right. So let's talk about some stats. not even stats. As I'm pulling that up, there's also another one for one of my sellers. And so sellers out there, I just need to say it. There are things that are going to take a little bit longer, and it's the truth. Right now, we are witnessing a time where we had the slowness in the market where it was typical, right? Last year was not typical, right? Because of COVID happening, shelter in place, people were buying like crazy going to the end of the year. So we did not have one of those markets that kind of lulled in this kind of September all the way to February timeframe. But right now, if you've seen, I saw it specifically that happened. It literally happened right as I was out with clients, and I could see the shift happening where homes were on the market. They started to now peel up about 10 days, 12 days on the market. And that was like at the high. Like there were certain areas that could get 930,000 that are now like kind of just barely pushing past the 900 mark. So it is a change has come. So if you are thinking about selling your home, just know that it's probably going to take a little bit more time than the homes that were flying off the shelf in the summertime or the springtime, because we've now entered into our our fall winter season. So just know patience all around, and price points, they're not necessarily going down. And let's just be clear about that. It's just now going back to where it should be, which is still considerably over where we were at traditionally, even pre-COVID. So just know you'll get the price point. It's just going to take a little longer, and maybe not put it on now, but if you can, wait until the springtime so that you can get more buyers on your home, more leverage. That's just a crazy thing. It's still a seller's market. It's still a seller's market, but it's a soft one. You're still having multiple offers. There's still low inventory, still low interest rates, but there's also still buyers that are out. Some have came out of the scene because of kids and because of school starting. So they're not inside the market right now, but just know they will be back. So if you have some patience and you can wait, I'd wait until spring in order to really capitalize on the market in a higher price point. But let's look at some stats, like I've said before. So in San Jose, I am privy to San Jose only because this is a big part of my area. And that being said, I have some stats here for instance, one bedroom homes. And this is stats as of August of 2021. So what they do is now it's September, like November. So even now, it still kind of stays the same, like every kind of quarter, or there's just a little bit behind with CAR, which is the California Association of Realtors. They do stats and they do statistics. And so some of the statistics I have is a one bedroom. So the median price point for a one bedroom, and I don't know how many one bedrooms we really have. They've probably been converted to two, but either way. So median price is 549,000. Which is interesting. And as of August, kind of like just to give you relative, it's like about 23. So it's kind of averaging in the 20s of one bedroom homes. So we do actually have them. May not be in the neighborhood that you might want, just based off of, there's not being a whole lot of popular ones. But these probably are including condos too, like one bedroom condos as well. So yes, just know that that median price is about $550. There's another one. So two bedrooms. The median price point on that is actually at $749,000. How interesting. Again, as I continue to give stats, I'll give the change in the stats. But typically we're seeing about 135 homes for sale. Think about this. Like we have quite a few buyers, thousands of buyers out in the area, specifically in San Jose. And it's not really a lot of homes for sale. So just know a little bit more with that statistic. So median price point being $749, like a monthly payment. This is just kind of across the board an estimate. If you're thinking about buying and purchasing, a monthly down payment for a $749,000 home would be approximately $3,337. A down payment on that, and we're looking at really just 20% down, will be $150,000. But I want to give you stats to what 3% would look like. So those of you thinking that, hey, this is a market market that I probably want to get into, something like a 2-bedroom home with a median price point of $749, a monthly payment would be approximately, with 3% down, $3,863. Remember, you have some PMI, some private mortgage insurance that you have to put on that, especially if you do under 20%. Or then you have a down payment of $22,000. So what a difference, right? 20% down is 150, but you could get into a home for 3%, and that would be approximately 22,000. So, just know if you have $50,000, you actually can get into a home that you've saved. You can get into a home. You really can. A 2-bedroom, probably just to start, and then maybe you move your way up. But hey, if you move your way up, 3-bedroom, the median price point actually in this area, and specifically we're talking about San Jose, is 1.1 million, right? That's a monthly payment about $4,800, and then a down payment of about $220,000. However, if you do not have the 20%, guess what? With 3%, you can get into a home, and that would be $33,000 that you need for a down payment. So still, if you have $50,000, guess what? You can get into a 3-bedroom home in the Bay Area. Now, granted, your monthly payment is going to be approximately $5,600, maybe a little bit more or less, but it is possible. It's doable. And in this market right now, at least, there's approximately about 160 or so homes that we have for sale for a 3-bedroom. And a 4-bedroom, just kind of, all things being considered, median price point of 1.5. You have a down payment of about $310,000. Okay. But if you don't have that hefty amount, guess what? 3%. $46,000 to get into a home in San Jose, California, with a median price point at 1.5. So it's doable. I think those numbers kind of give a little bit of insight on, what you have probably in hand, what you have saved, or what you're going to, but it makes it all relative that you can actually purchase, all depending on, like, if you have a great job. And a lot of people over here in the Bay Area, they have really good jobs, but they just don't have anything saved. And so, yes, you can still get into homes not having money saved, but just be aware that your monthly payment will be, X amount of dollars. And maybe that's just to get you into a home. But later on down the line, when you're making more money, you can refinance, and it'll possibly be better, pay down your monthly mortgage amount, and that will help you out too. So when we come back, I am going to speak a little bit more on some stats, but then I'm also going to talk about the foreclosure process, and to let you know why it's kind of unlikely that we're going to have a second foreclosure crisis. So stand by. Tamika Ellsworth, Equity One Real Tamika Ellsworth, and this is Faith in Home Buying, and I'm equipping people of faith with the home buying process. Oh, so welcome back to Faith in Home Buying, and equipping people of faith for the home buying process. This is something that I love to do, and I think it was necessary to talk a little bit more about foreclosure crisis. I have a lot of clients that are asking about this because we went through a whole big forbearance issue, and I think a lot of people forget, even with forbearances, there's a lot of equity that have been built in a lot of homes. And so unlike the time that I was in 2009 or so, we are seeing a switch and a change in how we are going to be able to deal with crisis, inflation, and things of that nature. But this is actually all information coming from car.org. That's the California Association of Realtors. That is, information that they give out to us. But the second foreclosure crisis is unlikely. There is no doubt that the coronavirus pandemic was an unprecedented shock. But however, unlike 2008 financial crisis, housing was a bystander at external forces disrupted the macro environment rather than a culprit in building up systemic fundamental imbalances in the financial system. That is an important distinction when it comes to the question about foreclosures and home prices. Would-be home buyers who were waiting for a surge in foreclosures and for prices to plunge are likely to find themselves facing even higher prices next year. To add potential insult to injury, many forecasts suggest that home buyers will be facing higher interest rates after the crisis as well. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at waiting. I'm sure a lot of people have seen a lot of, comments about, hey, maybe I'll just wait. Well, waiting may cost you, and it may cost you more than you think. So there are many reasons why it's not 2008 all over again. First, the economic impacts were largely concentrated in retail stores, bars, restaurants, and hotels. And then while workers in high wage sectors were relatively insulated, the group of high wage workers were not only remained employed at a much higher rate, but they also had a renewed passion for home ownership because of the nature of the crisis. So increased flexibility due to remote working and the lowest mortgage rates ever recorded. Basically, the housing demand, which typically outstrips supply in California, became even more ferocious, and a solid price growth before and during COVID-19 has created a market where 98.9% of homeowners in California have some home equity. So this is why, again, I had mentioned before, when you're talking about bubble bursting, a little different because we do have equity in their homes, or like a big short sale, extravaganza, a little different. But however, the economy also had much better fundamentals coming into the crisis. This was a huge shock, but one happening to what was otherwise a relatively healthy economy. Home buyers since the Great Recession have tended to have higher levels of income, above average credit scores, and much larger down payments. So in addition, the amount of home equity that the homeowners liquidated to spend on cars, boats, RVs, and vacations was a fraction of what it was back in 2006, even though prices are much higher than they were back then. So basically, this all adds up to a much smaller amount of systemic risk than that was present in the economy in 2008. And better fundamentals have already kept California more resilient. Delinquencies peaked last year at 6.8% and have been falling for the past 4 quarters consecutively, basically far below the 2009 peak of 11.3. In addition, statistics from the federal forbearance program suggest that several encouraging conclusions. Last year, nearly 8.5% of mortgages were in forbearance. Now that number is just 3%. So according to the exits, over 40% never missed any payments, missed some, but already paid it all back, or have since paid their loan off in full. Another 40% have come to a resolution with their banks, who seem to be taking more of a "we're all in this together" approach this time around. So, again, as Carr speaks on, I've known people that again, they were in forbearance for literally like a year and a half, almost 2 years. And, those that can't make the lump sum payment, because that's what you really have to look at. What does your lending institution tell you have to do? So those lump sum payments are then now moved to the life of the loan. So they've been able to work it out. Or there's some people that have been able to say, forget this. I'm going to sell my place and, pay off everything that I owe. And I'm probably going to downsize or move out of the state, which I've seen a good handful of my clients or potential clients do or doing. Or lastly, they have the money. Maybe they've saved their money, whatever stimulus checks that they have, in order to pay off the amount that they owe for forbearance. So a lot of times that's a big, big amount, or they, sometimes they are able to still make their payments, forbearance, but still make their payments. So it really depends on, how the lending institution is set up as well. But taking all of this into consideration, it suggests that the number of potential foreclosures in the 20,000 and 30,000 range on the high side. This pales to the 1.25 or 1.125 million foreclosures started between 2008 and 2010. So even if every delinquent loan went belly up, at one time there were like 350,000 delinquent loans in California. That's still a quarter of the number that was foreclosed on last time. So 20,000, 30,000 range, way different. So again, this is the one reason why, if you're waiting for all these homes to come up on HUD and foreclose, it's really probably not going to happen. There's some of them that will in different states, but not. I wouldn't bank on that. This isn't to say that every homeowner will be able to stay in their home, or that every investor would decide to remain in business. But some folks have faced serious financial stress. They don't have a lot of home equity and will eventually foreclose. However, the number of folks this is likely to happen to is a fraction of what it was the last time. So as such, would be home buyers may not get the flood of inventory or the drop in the prices that they're waiting for. Depending on how long they decide to wait, they may only succeed in paying more for their homes at even higher rates of interest. So I say all this to say, and I see this happening all the time in my industry. And I'm not a fear-based buyer at all, like agent. I just don't do that. But giving the facts of what's out there and me taking even some clients around now, there's still multiple offer situations. It's still a seller's market. You are still having to put on, contingencies or take off contingencies, which are ways out of a contract in order to be competitive, right? I don't see as high of a price increase. As it did kind of before. People were getting absolutely ridiculous on what they were spending over and above a appraised value. However, it's still kind of being normal, like your typical 7%, 12% over list price type of homes and prices. And right now, having clients coming out, it's really interesting that there are even some homes that are sitting right now. I'd say like in Alameda County, for instance, and even Santa Clara County, the average price or average time frame of a home has been sitting for, I now see about at least 2 open house weekends. So that's probably like 10 to 14 days versus, just barely a month, 2 months ago, you were seeing things, fly off the market 7 days, 6 or 7 days, and you know that either they're in contract or either they're going to be in contract or the home is just going to go pending. So we've been seeing that a whole lot. But it's interesting that I've also seen some houses sitting for longer. Why? How interesting, because of where the price point has been placed. See, a lot of times, as sellers, and when it's a really strong seller market, and it was a crazy seller's market, people kind of miss the boat in a lot of ways, or maybe they're not educated, or the agent hasn't educated them on the change that's happened in the market currently. So most are thinking that still, oh, this is a strong seller's market. I can pretty much price where I want to, and I'm going to get all these buyers. And it hasn't been happening like that. And now, granted, I've been even with my own clients having to let them know as buyers, like, hey, look, this is a great time, because even those homes that have been priced a little bit higher, they've been sitting for a little bit longer. And guess what? Let's try to go for them, especially ones that are priced a little bit too high, because they're going to do an adjustment pretty soon. And so with that adjustment comes you kind of being able to sneak inside there before the other buyers, because it was kind of missed just because people weren't looking at it. So say, for instance, a home should have really been listed at about 650, right? However, it's listed at the high sixes, like 699, because they want to get 700,000 or so for it. And there's been sitting. Why? Because people are just thinking like 7%, 8%. Oh, then you want too much. Next. So yeah, and then you can sneak inside there and say, hey, look, I'll take it for this, and comparable stay this. And a lot of times they're willing to do it because they don't want to wait 20 something days, 30 days for a adjustment. So those are some little tips and tricks. I really do appreciate your time. My time is about to end, but remember, you can catch me on TikTok, realestate_T, or on Instagram, Tamika Ellsworth. You can catch me on my website too, TamikaEllsworth.com. My number, 408-561-7922. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you again. This is Tamika Ellsworth, equipping people of faith for the home buying process.